All right, so a few people have asked me about my keybinds and stuff. But let's go over all the options that I like to do in my settings and stuff. So, of course, you gotta put TTV in your name to piss off all the people on Reddit and to make people come into your stream and get that viewers. So make sure you do that. Interface language English because I don't know what any of this other shit is. What the hell is Sestana? I don't know. We don't mess with that. I like to have the main menu be factory because Big Brother one actually causes FPS drops like that. And if you don't use that one, then things load faster. People say they go back to the menu faster. So I try not to use that one because it's crap. As far as this stuff, this is how you get all the information on your HUD to show up all the time. Otherwise, I think auto hide is by default. That's why you can't see your stances and your health and all that. So your health and your stances and your slots are pretty important, especially in the beginning. And I like them to always be visible so that I can tell when I'm bleeding and stuff. Health color scheme, polychrome. So this allows your health to change colors on your character's body and stuff. Monochrome makes it only one color, obviously. And I like to have it very, very colorful because the world is so gray. I don't know what that does. I don't know what that does. This and this, you just shouldn't touch these things. Look up some Reddit guides about that, but there's something about what kind of GPU you have and all that, blah, blah, blah. None of my business. All right, now let's get to the important part. So FOV. Here's some information about FOV that a lot of people don't know. So a lot of people, they like to change their FOV all the way to the max, which I thought was 70, but apparently 75, my God. But the problem with having your FOV all the way up is that it causes misalignment with your scopes and misalignment with your red dots, causing quite a degree of inaccuracy when you're trying to snipe people. And the further away they are, the worse it gets. So 59 is a good medium to provide the most accuracy while giving you an almost normal field of view, as well as the fact that FOV in Tarkov is different, where I think, what is it? The default is 50, yeah. Where 50 is actually 90, so 75 would actually be quite a lot more. I don't know how to convert it, but I like 59 because it allows you to be accurate, but also see along the sides of your head a little bit better. Head bobbing, we don't want head bobbing. Okay, this is interesting. Preload hideout, anything to not slow it down, malfunction notifications. Sure. All right, now graphics. I don't know. Graphics are nuts, and it's really dependent on your hardware, but here you go. This is what I use for graphics. I have a NVIDIA 2070 Super. I have 32 gigs of RAM, and I have i7-9700K for my specs. All right, so post effects, pretty much copy Landmark's post effects like everyone else does. This is what I use for post effects. It makes the world look not gray. I would highly recommend having the world look not gray because it's very, very hard to see people without post effects in this game. All right. So, yeah, make sure that your interface volume is down. I keep mine on 30 just so you get some amusing sounds, but you really want to have your interface volume either lowered or all the way down when you're new, because interface volume controls some of the sounds that, well, the sounds that interface volume control are sounds that only you can hear, but it won't impact the sounds that other people can hear. So when you're refilling a magazine or moving stuff around, blah, 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 all these sounds, especially when it's at like 100%, are lowering your ability to hear other people. So by lowering that or eliminating it completely, any sound that you hear in game is going to be a sound that someone else can hear in game, therefore giving you a realistic idea of what people can hear and how much noise you're making. Besides that, I have music volume down because I've listened to all the music for 8,000 hours, and as good as it is, no. Binaural audio. So a lot of people have been telling me that people have been suggesting not to use binaural audio. I don't know why you would not use binaural audio. Maybe it's based on your headphones. Maybe some work better with it off than with it on. But for me, binaural audio allows me to hear people on different floors. And before it was a setting, you could not hear people on different floors because I played for several wipes before they added the option. So, in my opinion, binaural audio is much better because it allows you to hear better along verticality and directionally. But to each your own, I guess. Make sure VoIP is enabled so that you can hear me try to negotiate with you on Factory. All right, now the meat of the jam, keybinds. So we'll just go over what I change. So I tried to set all my keybinds up in such a way that each button press, the different options for each button are controlled by Control and Alt, but the button that they control is kind of the set button for whatever function that may be. For example, Q and E plus left control controls my smooth lean, and they're both mirrors of my normal leans. But what I did was I switched my lean left and my lean right to be right would be Q, so left key and leaning left would be E. What that allows me to do is if I'm trying to strafe to the right, I can press Q, which is easier setup for your hands, and it allows me to quickly lean a lot more, and it's more intuitive for me after a while getting used to it. But just like I said before, because I changed these, I also changed these so that I know that Q and E is always lean, no matter what type of lean. But left control is the modifier for that, and that's going to be kind of the case for always. Now, I have these on my mouse buttons, but my mouse is kind of broken, so it's frustrating. So I also added backup buttons. But once again, you're going to see that, Alt or Control modifies the function, and the function is on one key. So I know if I need to change my scope, it's going to be the right mouse button, or it's going to be the mouse buttons, and it's going to be modified by the modifier keys, keeping it very simple. Left Alt for free look, because I played DayZ for 10 years. I didn't even know that was an option. Push to talk, I had my push to talk on K, because there's no other reason to press K in this game. Phrase menu, it's all pretty much default on Y. A quick phrase for F1. All right, so here's something that's a bit different. So check time, I changed it from press O to double click O, and then check time and exits, I changed that from double click to press. Now the reason being is if you're going to check the time of the raid, you might as well check the extractions too, because checking the extractions can give you quite a bit of valuable information, and I didn't see why I would want to double click to do it when I could just get all the information with one press of a button. And then compass is on you. Meh, I don't really use a compass much, but it's right there next to the watch and the exit, so basically keeping the two keys close by together. Now, toggle tactical devices on default T. I've tried using this with different mouse buttons, and I didn't really like it. Most of the time, when it comes to tactical devices, you're going to have the ability to turn it on ahead of time, or you're going to be so deep into a moment that you're not even going to be thinking about turning it on, regardless, like in the middle of a gunfight. So I think the default key for that is fine. Once again, we have the standard modifier of left control on it to switch tactical device modes. Prepare grenade, G, continuous. That means when I press G and I hold it down, I pull a grenade. This stops me from accidentally pulling a grenade into my hands if I fumble the keys. It's good to have some sort of safety measure there because obviously when you pull out a grenade, your gun goes down and that could be bad. Reload weapon, I have reload on R, but I switched it to release. No real reason for that. Besides, I guess the fact that emergency weapon reload is also on R at a double click. I think I did that because if you push it on press, then it's hard to do the quick reload and know you're doing a quick reload instead of a normal reload. But if you have it on release, then there's a bit of a delay before the normal reload goes through, during which you're able to register a second press of the R. And I'm usually able to consistently emergency reload that way. So a little bit of a failsafe mechanism. Drop backpack on Z. Once again, set to continuous to prevent any accidental backpack drops. This is all default. All right, now we have another example. Check ammo, B plus left control. All the gun manipulation keybinds are on B with the modifiers. So check ammo, B plus left control, switch fire mode, B, set fire mode to full auto, double click B. I didn't even know that was a setting, but now I do. I usually just cycle through them anyways and memorize how many button presses it takes. And then check fire mode B plus the other modifier of Alt. Do I thumb and index Alt and B? I don't know. I've been playing computers for over 20 years. I just hit stuff and I don't even have to think about it. My keyboard doesn't even have letters on it. It's blank. So I know exactly what I do. I don't even think about that stuff. Anyways, check chamber, fix malfunction, V plus left control. Now, this is something that I tried. It doesn't work well. You're supposed to be able to basically, if you were to hold down left control plus V and then wait for it to check the chamber, and then you wait until it's done with that, and then you release it again, it should fix the malfunction if you have it on just one keybind. But I don't like that because it's slow and it's inconsistent. So I have check chamber on V plus left control, and then I have fix malfunction on V plus left alt. So the same button with different modifiers, keeping everything consistent. Unload chamber U plus left control, a very, very rarely used button that I really just don't give a crap about. And then I have detach magazine of double press U. So even though I don't use these buttons much, they once again have consistent keys that control them. Prone on X, sprint on left shift. And here's an important thing for new players. Make sure you change your left shift or sprint button from press to continuous. And what that's going to allow you to do is have much more control over when your sprinting starts and stops. Because the second you let go of the sprint, you stop sprinting. Otherwise, usually a side effect of having it on press is that constant sliding noise you make when you come to a stop. And changing it to continuous feels much more intuitive and smooth and should fix that problem. This is all standard. Walk on caps, pretty sure that's default. Now, overhead blind fire is pretty useless. Pretty useless. I can say I've effectively used it maybe 3 times ever. So I have that on something, E plus Q. And the reason I set it to those is because you can't do it when you're leaning. So I figured use the lean buttons for it, because either I'm doing one or the other. So they don't really interfere with each other. And you're never leaning both ways at once because that's impossible. But right side blind fire, I like it on V. So it's real close to my movement controls and accessible with my thumb. And right side blind fire can be pretty darn useful. Now, once again, movement side step left, side step right, something I rarely use as well, but is good against raiders and stuff. A and D plus the standard modifier button. And then inspect current weapon. This is what I was talking about earlier with fixing the malfunction. So because this is set as the same keybind as fix malfunction, control plus V, what you do is you hit this, it inspects the weapon, you keep it pressed down, and then you release it, and bam, it fixes the gun. Let me check this real quick. Yeah, so this one is set to release, so that when I release this key, it activates the fix malfunction function. And this one is set to press, so that when I press it, it starts the first phase of clearing a jam. It sounds great in theory, doesn't work very smooth in practicality. I usually prefer to just do it manually and have that control over it, which is why I have a backup key of left alt plus V on the clear malfunction thing. Who folds their stock? You know, who does that? Bum, bum, bam. Oh, and melee weapon, I have mine set to N with a long press. Works pretty good. All right, defaults for zeroing, hold breath, left shift. All right, so you're right, vanquishing. We could talk about that real quick. So most people know this, but here's a quick thing that can help you in gunfights and stuff. So hold breath, left shift, or RMB set on release. So if you look at my aim here, my aim is set on right mouse button, press. So when I press it, it ADSs. And a lot of people, they like it on continuous. I don't know. There's a lot of times in this game where you will be holding an angle or holding a corner. And when I'm doing these things, I don't want my hands to be busy on a key, especially considering the amount of jump scares in Tarkov. So I like to have my aiming set on a toggle to prevent accidental inputs. But every time when I aim in, my character automatically holds his breath because I also have hold breath on right mouse button, but this one is set to release. So this only works if you're standing still. You can't hold your breath when you're walking. So if it doesn't seem to be working, that's why. But by having your aim on press and your hold breath on release, and they're both on the same button, anytime you're not moving and you ADS in, you'll be holding your breath already to steady your shot. Now, the reason that I have left shift here is because, first of all, if you're aiming, you're not sprinting. So it's a keybind that you can mix together to combine to save some space on your keyboard. But the reason that you want to have a manual reset for the hold breath is in case you don't want to hold your breath, obviously, right? Sometimes the stamina drain is too much. Sometimes you're just looking and you're not actually aiming anything. You don't need to hold your breath. Sometimes you'd rather stay scoped in longer and blah, 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 blah. So it's good to have manual reset. Also, if you're moving and you ADS, sometimes because you weren't fully stopped, you won't be holding your breath when you go to shoot, in which case it's easier to press left shift than it is to scope in and out again to hold your breath. So always try to have a backup button for that. Then besides that, the only thing I would recommend is setting your console to something that you will never ever accidentally hit, because that shit will get you killed. Now, besides that, this is my sensitivities. I play on about 600 DPI, I believe, even though I usually don't even start my mouse software, so my settings probably change all the time. But I played around with copying a lot of other people's settings until I found a medium that I like, and you just want to make sure that you can flick to head size targets in a controlled fashion. So, all right, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.